And the topic today is holy moments, and this is one. We've already witnessed it here through this very gathering, through the minds and hearts that created it, to the minds and hearts that pray for it and with it to uplift it, to expand it and to send it out into the world. So I say amen, and we lift it up again and again and again. So Holy Moments, there's a little book, it's free, and it's called Holy Moments, a handbook for the rest of your life. I've been transformed by many books over time, including The Science of Mind Teaching, which I did a full immersion in last year, every single day, 365 days of reading and reflection back through the text that was so meaningful to me when I was a younger girl, for 20 some odd years ago now. And it was back to basics was the guidance. So right back into the text I went, and I've made that available to you here in the chat. If you want a link to that, it'll come into you daily. The reflections, contemplations with encouragement for whatever teachings, whatever the teachings are, and whatever faith tradition you're in, that you stay close to the teachings and continue to apply them, because until they're more than just a theory, it is just Martha Creek and other blah, 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 until they are actually integrated. So we start today with the notion of holy moments. What is a holy moment? And this is what moved me about this little book so much at the beginning to cause me to get it. The book is also free, so you can get it and give it away to your friends. And part of the notions in holy moments is how to create a movement of holy moments, how to get this teaching out into the world in a concept of spiritual multiplication. So if I share with 3 people, that makes 4. Then if 4 people share with 3 more people, that makes 7. And if 7 people share with 3 more people, so then eventually we can absolutely create a holy moments movement through one session at a time, 3 people at a time. You have so much more to offer. You've known this your whole life. Even the parts that doubt it cannot override the part of you that knows you're made to make a difference here, to do something, to be about something. This sacred truth lives eternally and infinitely in our soul, within the deepest parts of ourselves. And sometimes we don't know what to do about it. We don't know what to do with it. Like, how in the world am I supposed to do it? One of my teachers used to say, and we may be too far from the South for you to comprehend this, some of you, but it's like, I don't have the foggiest notion what this means. I don't have the foggiest notion how I'm going to go out and change the world. And I'm going to go do what I can. One interaction, one transaction, one relationship, one forgiveness, one prayer, one meditation, one contemplation, one reflection, one reading, one excerpt, one book, one holy moment at a time. This idea, this holy moments idea, is so powerful to think about. Just becoming aware of an opportunity to make a moment holy is undeniable. Like the power that this one simple, profound idea holds for us. So defined as what is a holy moment? A single moment in which you open yourself to God. A single moment in which you open yourself to Creator, to Source, to Universe, whatever you name Creator. And you make yourself available to it. We've used words like alignment, atonement, awakened to it, connection. So making myself, I open myself to it, I make myself available to it, the thing itself, and I set aside my personal preferences, and I set aside my own self-interest. And for one moment, I do prayerfully what I believe God is calling me to do. what source is directing me to do, what creator is guiding me to do. In one holy moment, a true, albeit at times tiny, collaboration with God to make a choice in that moment about how this moment is going to go. So then, as I shared this with another group, this man said, let me get this straight. You mean that man that cut me off in traffic this morning, I'm supposed to make that a holy moment? Your choice. Your choice. What you do with that moment, your choice, if you believe in free will. So some moments are holy. Some moments are unholy. And you are going to decide. You get to decide. Now, this idea will not leave you after today. Once we hear an undeniable truth that some moments are holy, some moments are unholy, and you get to decide which ways it's going to go. So establishing that, a holy moment, your choice will guide, can guide, and will guide the moment in either direction. And are you going to guide the moment to a holy moment or to an unholy, I don't want this, I'm mad at this, I'm more frustrated, irritated moment? Then at the end of every day, when we lay our head on our pillows, the bodies are tired. In most cases, our minds can relax to a greater degree, and our fear, regrets, mind, ego, whatever you want to call it, let's go a little. This is a solitary moment. And if we listen carefully in that moment, we discover where we stand, how we did, where we stand with universe, where we stand with life, where we stand with God, where we stand with those we love, where we stand in our relationships, in our professions, in our workplace, in our offices, in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our tribes, in our communities, in our world, and where we stand with our own self, our own spirit self. That moment does not lie. It reveals how much meaning the life had in us today. It reveals how much meaning we gave to life today. And no shame, no blame, no guilt. When we have regrets, it's like, okay, I can see that I did some things today that really didn't have a lot of meaning to me, or I can see I did a lot of things today without my wholeheartedness in it. So be it. I'll learn from that and decide every holy moment I'm going to make a choice on whether to guide it, holy or unholy. So I'm going to learn from the moments where I wasn't able to do it today without the blame, shame, and guilt and recrimination, and begin again. The simple truth that some moments are holy and some are unholy, and our choices can guide which way they go, reveals the profound meaning that every single human act contains. Every human act, every human interaction, every human transaction. And this one idea holds the power to bring more and more and more meaning to our life, to joy to our life, integrity to our lives. And then to begin to catch to see that in this new paradigm shift that we're in, everywhere we go, every transaction, every interaction is an opportunity for us to participate in a holy moments movement. We begin to see other people creating and collaborating with God to create a holy moment. I'm doing a class on Tuesday night. You're welcome to join. This is through March 2024. And I'll put the link up here before we sign off. 7 o'clock Eastern. And we've got 3 more Tuesdays left to do it. And some of the things that were shared was somebody was at a retreat and they were serving chai tea. And it's one of those large kind of metal urns, and it was almost empty. And it took 3 people to hold that thing up and tip it over so they could get the last cup of chai out of that. And what it was like to see somebody helping somebody else to do that. Somebody else was out on a walk, and he said he wasn't really all that interested in striking up conversation and talking with people. And something guided him to reach out to this man, this particular man in the walk on the path with him, and to say, hey, my name is so-and-so. I've not seen you here before, just to open up a little conversation with him. And the long story purposeful, it was a brother to somebody that he had. He was a teacher from back in Michigan. This is in Alabama. And he had this man's brother in his class when he was a teacher. So that man called up his brother and said, you'll never believe who's on this walking path with me. Your teacher from the 8th grade or whatever it is. So they got to connect in that way. So many stories, and every one of you here today, and those of you listening, have had your own experiences of holy moments. There's nothing that I can teach you about that. So this message today is more about what will kind of dust us off and get us back into holy moments creations and holy moments cause, and how to be part of this movement and a spiritual multiplication of this movement. And that the more disconnected we feel from life and from people, the more disconnected we feel from God, from source, the more our lives seem less and less meaningful. So if we want a more meaning in our life, it's like then to give back to life that meaning. So to open us, that, the old book about where did God go? And it's like, God hasn't moved. God didn't go anywhere. So our disconnect from God, our disconnect from life, our disconnect from this source of us is what's causing us to believe and think and doubt and have confusion around, does our life really have any meaning, or what meaning could it possibly have? So it's up to us, and it's up to us now. And now's the time, I believe, that this is why Holy Moments is so much more than just a notion, just another idea. Like, it is an effective tool for igniting in us like a spring renewal, a rejuvenation, a resurrection of our own self that's been pulled back or afraid or worn out or weary, tired. When we look at like this wild world that we live in, to say, how in the world am I going to make a difference in this? Like, it's enormous. To say this is a tool to ignite my own self, to put fire in my own belly, to put fire in my own attitude, to say that I'm going to actually turn the tide in my own life. Therefore, if you believe in quantum theory or quantum thinking, if you believe in these teachings, that in my turning the tide in my own life turns the tide of a culture, turns the tide by empowering myself, therefore empowering ordinary people to join me in living one holy moment at a time. So instead of wondering if we can actually make a difference in this wild world, we actually see, yes, I can. It's not only possible, but as one of you said earlier on here in the meeting, that it is infinitely possible, and that we are living as expressions of an infinite potential, an infinite possibility to turn around the things we want to see less of, and violence and suffering and things in the world, that we hold some power, and I believe some certainly potential and possibility for it, and I believe some responsibility for it. So we can boldly awaken to and announce, you can do something about it, and you can do something about it right here and right now, in every single moment that we decide, I'm going to my choice is going to direct this moment. My choice in this interaction is going to direct this moment. And then in those moments of decisions, in those moments where we collaborate to create holy moments, we are here then to go that all that there is to do is to repeat that in every single, there's no limit to the holy moments that can be created. There's no limits to the ways they can be created. And one of my guiding principles about this is when I am making the choice, how am I going to be in this interaction, to make choices that's easier for me to live with, to make choices that I'm going to be gladder that I did that and less regretful if I did the other thing. So choices that leave me with less regret and choices that leave me a little prouder, a little more happier, a little more aligned in my own integrity, and choices that are easier for me to live with. At the end of my life, if I was looking back at my own review, I'd be happier, I'd be gladder that I made the choice that I did. They're easier to live with. And this decision making, it sounds easy presented like this, but the truth is it's not easy. We're not born great decision makers. It's something that has to be learned. We have to learn to make decisions. And we've not, some of us haven't learned much about that yet. You know, we talk about how to do it. And I know with children, it's often like, well, there's consequences to your bad decisions. It's like, what if we started looking at, yes, that's true. And there's also consequences to your good decisions. There's real uplifted consequences, real outcomes, real demonstrations, real manifestations to your other choices too. So if we're going to look at one side of it, to look at both sides of it. And this little book encouraged me, and I've heard this years ago from coaches and other spiritual directors and such, that when we're making a decision, when we have a decision to make, to consult our future self. Imagine ourselves 10 years from now, 20 years from now. For some of us, 20 years may seem like a stretch, but 20 years from now or 10 years from now, and imagine we're there and looking back on this moment and then listening to that future self. How would it guide us? What would it tell us to do? What advice could it give us? And that's that self that's not caught up in the moment or not caught up in the emotionality of it, keeping score, things like that, would direct us in a way sometimes that we're not able to in our humanness. So holy moments, choices, powerful and positive consequences, as well as the poor choices and painful consequences. So our choices have power. Your choice has power. My choice has power. So how would you answer if we had a moment of reflection, and we'll do this within the meditation too? What are you going to do? Like in the next moment, what are you going to do to cause a holy moment movement? To reflect on the holy moments you've had, maybe some gratitude. So this calls us to a transfiguration, a transcendence, a transformation. And we cannot live this out if we continue to do more of the same of some of the stuff we're doing, to continue to distract ourselves with meaningless things that don't make our tail wag. You know what I mean? When you leave a situation or you leave a conversation or you leave a place, even a physical place, and you feel worse than you did when you went in. Like it's drained off your energy. It's sucked the life out of you in some way. So It could be the way we distract ourselves with mindless activities. Like scrolling. People talk about how much they scroll. Somebody sent a little meme this week that showed this picture of this burnt chicken. Like step 1, put chicken in the oven. Step 2, go back and get the burnt chicken out of the oven after an hour of mindless scrolling on Facebook. So whatever it is, we cannot keep those same things up. No shame, no blame, no guilt. And we cannot be about this or about our own spiritual kingdom, our own spiritual development, if we continue to leak off our energy in this mindless and meaningless, nonsensical stuff. Keep dreaming about a change you know you need to make. What will cause you to make it? That moment of choice. I know I need to do this. My highest self knows I need to do this. And are we finally once and for all ready to do something about some dissatisfaction we have with ourselves, that we know only you know how you're out of integrity with yourself. Only I know what is my own integrity. And out of this one short, undeniable, unrepeatable life that is mine, that is yours, and I don't want to, quote, go waste it on something I'm going to look back at the end of my life and wish, golly, I wish I could take that back. I absolutely wouldn't do that again. So, ready for change? A handful of moments. I know for me, this has renewed my energy. Just these witnessing them in myself, the moments that I've gotten to experience as holy moments since I started this just a couple of months ago, has flooded me with a new life, new vitality, new energy, new joy, and something that has given meaning. A meaning as even as my life. If you had asked me before, is my life meaningful? Yes, I love what I do. I'm fulfilled. And I didn't even know how much more fulfillment I could experience until I got deeply into the practice of this. So, from your own life and from like a scripture reading, for example, when you talk about in the gospel where Jesus had a transfiguration, that something had happened, his face looked different. He had a glow about him. He became lighter. He had a aura. He had a white light with him. This is the definition of transfiguration. A complete change of appearance into a more beautiful spiritual state. You know this about people you've been with. You couldn't quite put your finger on it, but there was something so attractive about them. Their kind-heartedness, their wholeheartedness, their presence. So each holy moment is its own mini transfiguration, and it holds its own mini transfiguration potential. It allows us to see what is possible, even glimpses of it, even if it's for a fleeting moment. We see another possibility for ourselves. And each holy moment reveals who we are capable of being, and who we're capable of being is mind-blowing, amazing beyond anything we have experienced so far. So let's not let our past rob us of our now, or our patterned ways totally take over and dictate how we're going to be in the next interaction. So we're so much more than whatever's happened to us, whatever we've experienced. We're so much more than any of that. And this holy moments, creation, God, atonement is never more than one choice away. It takes one holy moment to shift the momentum of your life in a different direction, in a different experience. So our teachings byline is change your thinking and change your life. So change your choices and change your life. Change the direction and change your life. So the choice is yours. Will they be holy moments or unholy moments? What grudges will have to go? What forgiveness can be extended, including ourselves? And then how will you fill your life with holy moments? So let's break it down a little bit as we move into our meditation time. And begin to imagine how this would be, as if this is your experience now, and close your eyes if it helps to see. Aware of a holy moment, an invitation to holy moment, a single moment in which I open myself to life, to God, to Creator. That moment is now. And we make ourselves available, aware of our breath and of being breathed. And we set aside our personal preferences. We set aside our pattern ways of being, our instinctual ways, that's like the animal. We set aside our self-interest. And in this moment, surrender to and open ourselves prayerfully to what life is calling us to be, what God is calling us to do. We give thanks for this moment. We give thanks for this remembering, this awakening, this transfiguration, this transformation. And we begin anew. We're awake to what is calling us. Literally infinite potential, infinite possibilities, new adventure, new opportunities, and likely some disguised as opportunities for holy moments. We give thanks for guidance, for wisdom, for faith, for love, for order, for imagination, for zeal, for will, for imagination, for strength, for letting go, for understanding, for insight, for fulfillment. We accept it as so and let it be so as we live and love and learn. So be it. Amen. Thank you all. Blessings to you. MarthaCreek.com to contact me. MarthaCreek.com if I can support you. Blessings.